such an incredible honor to have you both with us. I love the film so much, and I will dive in with a few of my own questions, and then we can open it up to the audience after that. But I wonder if we could begin at the beginning, or maybe not. Who knows what's the beginning? But the beginning of this project. You had both worked with the director Mike Leigh before, as I mentioned in my introduction, and the genesis of his projects, from everything that he's discussed in interviews, is very particular to Mike, and his process is sort of part and parcel with the form that the films take in the end, but it's a process getting there. And I wonder if you could start by speaking about how you each came on board to this film, how the project was presented to you, how, what ideas Mike brought to you as sort of the inspiration, as the starting point for building up these characters and their relationships and their problems, and where did it begin?
Okay. Well, the simple answer to that is, you'll get a call from Mike Leigh, and he'll say, I want to do a film. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what you'll be playing in it, but we'll have a good time. And obviously, we've both worked with him before, so we know what the process is going to be. And I mean, that's the start. That's the initial sort of thing. You pack your bags, in my case, and you just set off knowing that you're going to be away from home for about 5 months. But the process begins with him saying to you to bring in a list of people that you know. They can't be related to you. And it could be somebody that you know, like, somebody that works at the hairdressers that you don't, Daphne at the hairdressers, who you don't know very well, but there's just something about her. And so you discuss the list of people that you have, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you settle on about 5 different people, and then you merge those characters together. Through talking and through moving. And then you start, and that creates a new character in and of itself. And then you start from scratch. What was her first memory? Go on, you take over. It's so long and complicated.
Oh, no, you were doing very well. So yeah, you create a character from 3 or 5 people that you know or you've seen. And then you might one day be in the rehearsal room and hear some footsteps up the stairs, and there's somebody else, and he says, and this will be your sister. And you create a shared history, and you sort of do that for everything. You do that for, whole families, or, the people that you work with. I mean, obviously you go into a lot of detail when you're just, when you are creating the family as opposed to sort of work colleagues. I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on what he's focusing on, and only he really sort of is in control of all of that. And if you think about the rehearsal process, you are rehearsing up until the point at which the film starts. So you're getting all of that history, all of those relationships up until the film starts, and then Mike has he goes away basically and decides what he wants the film to be about and where he wants it to be set. And each scene is rehearsed and created on the set in the actual location, and in the right, in order,
in the same order.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of.
I think
couple of things. I mean, obviously,
there were 2 location issues, and I think those actually were the doctor and dentist.
And the cemetery was also, we sort of did that. Yeah,
we did the cemetery before we did the house. We're going to argue about it.
Yeah. No, we never.
Oh gosh.
I'm curious about as I have 2 sisters myself. The sister relationship is in this film is really fascinating to me, and I think the characters of Pansy and Chantal are such profoundly different individuals, but the sense that they are sisters is so strong, and the sense that they have this shared history and these distinct experiences of that shared history. And even the differences in their personality, you can conceptually sort of map onto an idea of what their lives may have been like as sisters. And I'm curious how the characters that you were already in the process of developing with Mike gained dimension or gained sort of went in surprising directions once the two of you had brought your characters together as sisters and began to discover not just who your characters were separately, but who they were together and how they worked together. Was that a process of discovery or of experimentation?
I think it's discovery, because I mean, what's the fun bit of it is that we've actually worked together before. We've played sisters on stage in a play with Mike. So when we sit down to do the parallel history, I'm 3 years older than her, so his kind of thing would be to ask Michele to pop outside, and he'd say, "Do you remember when they brought the baby home from the hospital?" And I'd be like, "Yes." "How did you feel?" "I didn't like it. It cried a lot." Da, 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 da. Then she'd come back in. But we'd do that going right up until the ages that they are now, or I think it was in their 20s, where we just create a parallel history. All the birthday parties, the outings, the vacations, their extended family, their holidays to Jamaica, all of that stuff. So I think that's what you see when you see the two sisters together.
Also, I think that we have I feel like it was a very easy process in kind of really knowing who they were and what they were about. And it wasn't, that bit of northwest London isn't a million miles away from our lives. And we sort of really knew who this family was, I think quite instantly, really. I think that was quite easy in a way.
Was there an element of surprise on seeing the finished film? How many of the sort of concrete details made their way into the film of this shared history, or was it something that you established on the front end? Sort of, we have this shared knowledge and this shared history, but only these select tidbits will be divulged to the audience. Was that a surprise at all, or was it part of the process?
I don't know, because I think we watch it with a different lens in a sense, because the first time I saw it, I was completely stunned by it, and kind of like, what the hell is this type thing? Like, ooh, I'm not sure, But when I watch it, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that's probably because that and that happened, or this is because of that, and But yeah.
I mean, it's not. I don't feel like it's a surprise. I think actually it's sort of a real buzz actually to see because it's such a creative process, because you are involved as an actor and as an artist in the whole process. So costume, makeup, set design. You are involved in a way that you're not in most traditional filmmaking and TV making. It's so collaborative. So it's an absolute honour and a buzz, because you think, yeah, this is the character's home. Yeah, that is the hot pepper sauce that they would have, because I've told you it, and and you've got it. Everything feels right. The food is right. And that's really important, and I think that's what gives it its texture. So it's really exciting, but it is a very strange experience to see the bits of the film that you have nothing to do.
You're not in. You're just like, wow, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing, Marianne, that the sort of design of the house and the decor, the way it's decorated or not decorated, was sort of your creation as a sort of manifestation of the character. This is the home she keeps. This is the kinds of possessions she surrounds herself with. Was that what was that process like?
Well, it's great because you're working with this fantastic designer who is listening to you and sort of going, oh no, Pansy wouldn't have that, it would be cream carpet. And she's going, no, but that would get terribly dirty. She said, I said, not in Pansy's house, it wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? It'd be kept like that, you know. And everybody is just, I mean, she said it already, so collaborative that it's like an actor's dream, actually, to be able to sort of run like that with something, with an idea, and have it placed there concretely before you. And you know, we go into the locations like 2 weeks before we start filming. So, you know, Mike just says, just go around and familiarize yourself with the house. And if anything's not where it should be, you know, talk to production design and props, and we'll have things moved and put in or changed. You know, a few vases were taken away, a picture that was up on the wall was taken away. So yeah, it's great.
There's, I think one thing that's so surprising about the film is how deftly it kind of moves between registers of humor and real warmth and tenderness, but then of course this really just very, very angry emotional space, or you know, emotional space of pain and sort of blockage that Pansy is trapped in, and this sense of exhaustion, I think, also is very present. Both Pansy's continuing to insist how tired she is, and how we see it in her. We see how weighed down she is, but we also see how much she is taking a toll on the people around her, and sort of pulling them along with her. And I'm just curious what it felt like to sort of inhabit these registers together, and to be in this headspace of relentless negativity that is also in contact with this incredible warmth and sort of humor that I think Chantal kind of embodies and really brings into Pansy's life. And as actors, as professionals doing this work, did you find that the character of Pansy took a toll in the process of spending so much time with her?
Me, personally.
You and Michele also, really.
Yeah, I guess she did. You know, it's exhausting. I was tired a lot of the time. Yeah, but I had a lot of support. And it's one of those things where, you know, she'd be like, I hope you're looking after yourself. Go and do this. We're really good at coming out of character. You know, Mike doesn't like you to sort of stay in and get all methoded with the process. He's like, no, it's acting. So, you know, come out of character. And you do. But that doesn't stop the intrusive thoughts or the thought patterns that you've had to create for Pansy being there, criticizing people, for example, and stuff. So that was tricky to sort of get with that. But we laughed so much. Whenever we could laugh, whenever they'd say, okay, you guys have got a break, we'd be cackling like witches about nonsense. I mean, anything.
And that comes through in the scenes with Chantal and her daughters, especially. Just that joy, that sort of defiant laughter almost.
Yeah, I have to be really honest. Marianne hates when I talk about this, but yeah, we did spend quite a lot of time, myself and Annie and Sophia, when we were in character, just cackling and watching Married at First Sight, and like just really having like the best time. So I was having a very different experience. So actually, when I was coming out of character, I was having to let the intrusive thoughts back in. Because ordinarily, I am a much more cynical human being.
I want to leave time for a few audience questions. We have a mic that'll come around. Yes, so just keep your hand up and she'll, be right with you.
So I just want to know, so before the filming, before production started, you guys were together, you spent time together, you had an idea what this movie would look like, what the final product would look like for us to see. What we saw right now, how much does it match, or how much does it differ from what you guys, both of you, Marianne and Michele, had in mind?
Well, we don't really have anything in mind. You're working in like you're the center in the Mike Leigh process. You are the center of the universe. There is no other characters in the piece but you until you have a sister. Now, within that, you don't know what any other character is doing that your character wouldn't know. So if, like, Pansy never goes to the hair salon, so she never knows what's happening in the Chantel world. She never knows what's happening in the plumbing world of her husband, and she doesn't know where her son goes when he goes for his walks, because he never tells her. So you actually, we're always trying to work out what's happening and what it's going to be about, but we never really know until we see the film. So, I thought it might be about a hairdresser who had a difficult sister. Do you know what I mean? It could have been. Or a plumber who didn't get on with his wife. It's...
I think we can take one more. Yes, here's a question.
Thanks very much. I love Mike Leigh's films, and you both were like amazing in this. I've always wondered how, because I know a little bit about the way that he works, and you described that a bit. Is during the process of this, it says up on the screen, it says directed and written by Mike Leigh, but I realize that's a little too simple. But I'm just, before you shoot something, or at some point, are scenes like written down? How is the story? How the drama of it? Is that just a totally natural thing, or is it written down? Or anyway, you get my idea.
Yeah.
He is the puppet master who knows who all the characters are. He knows all of that stuff. He goes away and he writes a scenario, right?
Yeah.
But what we get is, for example, you get two pieces of paper. Pansy wakes up. Pansy cleans. Pansy goes to the supermarket. And that's all you get. But he obviously has written all the scenes for everybody else. And when it comes to the dialogue, we improvise. And then we repeat it. And then he'll move stuff around or say, could you say this instead of that? Or does that work? So there's the best way I can sorry if I'm going off, but the best way I can describe his writing is to say, if you have a piece like Concerto de Sol by Ravel, Herbie Hancock did a version of it, which is stunning. And it's Ravel, but it isn't Ravel, because Herbie Hancock's soloing all over this piece and writing notes in that weren't on the original piece. And it's a bit like that with us, with Mike, only we don't know what the overall piece of music is. We just know what key we're in, we know the time signature, we know what relative minors we can use. So it's a tricky one, but he is all over it.
Yeah. I mean, and also I think, just to be very clear, we start improvising a scene in real time. This is without cameras, and
Yes.
this is very important. We do this without the cameras there. It's just Mike, it might be the script supervisor, maybe some runners hidden away, literally. And we improvise in real time, and we will do it until he stops it. And then he'll talk to people individually. He might change things. He might give you some different type of direction or a different type of motivation. Or he might ask you to do something a bit different. You do it again, and then you do it again and again. And then sometimes you will move very slowly through it. And the script supervisor is writing like a demon. And then very slowly you'll go, well, okay, and that first one that you came in and you said, good morning, but really would she say good morning? And no, maybe she wouldn't. And on the third one, she just ignored her. Actually, she just started speaking. And he's picking things, but also he's adding things in. Is that making a bit more sense?
Yeah.
So it's like a constantly moving thing, but he is taking things and he's cutting things down as well. Because obviously improvisations could be, if you improvise a whole
3-4 hour improvisation.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is
Because
exhausting.
sometimes you improvise something, like there's a scene with Pansy in bed, and Curtly. There's loads of scenes with Pansy in bed, but there's a scene with Pansy in bed when she's left a mess downstairs and Curtly comes up. Then I improvised the whole thing downstairs, coming in from shopping, etc., before that. But he needed, I guess, the rage from coming in to create the next scene upstairs. So there's a lot of stuff that happens like that in the process, where you kind of go, oh, but I like that bit downstairs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to...
No, go on.
Well, we can, maybe a very quick question. I see a hand in the back.
Go on. She's so... Go on.
Hi. Just a quick question. When that's the cemetery scene where the sisters are talking about their different experience of the mother, why do you think, I have an idea, but I wanted to hear from you, why do you think it was the one that experienced like maybe the bad side of the mother, why do you think her grief was so palpable, or I don't like the word hard, but harder than that of the sister who had a better relationship with the mother?
I think, well, I would say that I think grief is always hard when there's no resolution. When there's something that's kind of been left and not dealt with, it's always harder. Because we have this sense as human beings that everything should be wrapped up nicely, and that we should say, I love you to the person when they leave the house and go and get hit by a car. Do you know what I mean? But that's not life, and I just think it's...
Also, I think what that's about is it's saying that these two sisters had the same mother and they had a completely different experience of that home, and it's playing out now that she's no longer there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that plays out in a lot of families, isn't it? That we have the same parents, and yet we just feel like we got a different deal.
Yeah.
All right.
You were treated the same.
Well, as we all head home for the holidays, that might be the perfect note to end on.
I mean, it's like...
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.